Most everybody in the Mopar world knows the name Jimmy Addison and the Silver Bullet. What a lot of people don't know about is my car shop, Golden Mullet. Today we're going to talk about the Golden Mullet and share some plans that we have on this project. It's going to be fun. A lot of cool stuff to share with you on our tongue-in-cheek tribute to Jimmy Addison's Silver Bullet. Can't wait to share this with you. I'm Mike, and you're watching My Car Shop. I'm not going into the history on the Silver Bullet. That's all over the web. It was the king of Woodward back in the day. It was a silver 1967 two-door hardtop 426 Hemi car. We have a 67 Plymouth Belvedere, not a GTX, two-door post car. We're not putting a Hemi in it. But today we're going to talk about the engine plans that we have for this car. Now, I've referred to it as a ProMad car. Those are 5-second cars. We're not going to be that fast, but this is definitely going to be faster than a Pro Street car. So we've got some cool stuff to share with you today. If you remember the plans for that car, it's going to be tube chassis with a full cage, big block powered with a 671 blower, 4-speed, more than Pro Street, not ProMad. And I came up with a term for it. I'm going to call it the ProMad. I've even got an official sticker for it I'll share with you at some point. So our ProMad 67 Plymouth is kind of a hats off tribute to Jimmy Addison. It's like its nerdy cousin is what I'm trying to say here. But today I want to talk about the engine plan, the engine design, exactly what we're doing. I have been doing a ton of maths and research and stuff. And barring one crucial bit of information, I'm fairly well ready to solidify the plans that I have for this car. If you recall, we have a 1964 413 that we plan to punch 70 thousandths of an inch to make it 426. The bore on a 426 is 4.25 to make 426. I don't remember the bore on the 413, but I do know it's 70 thousandths less than 426. And the cool thing about the marine motor, 1964 marine motor, is everything I've read about it says that it has extra thick cylinder walls, and we should have no problem taking that motor out to 70,000. Now, we know for a fact that we have to have that block sonic tested to be sure that it will handle being punched out that far, or we've just created a big pile of scrap cast iron. In fact, I just stopped in at the local machine shop. You wouldn't believe the machine shop that we have just 7 miles from here. They have state-of-the-art everything, including a brand new Superflow dyno that will handle up to 3,000 horsepower. My buddy Dean that runs the place wanted me to stop in and check out the new equipment, and we did a walk through the shop. They have everything we need to get the machine work done for this motor, including the sonic checking. It's $25 a hole for him to test it. So we're going to get that done at some point. But I'm still in the planning stages. But here's where I'm at right now. It was thanks to my buddy Mopar Joe, who suggested the possibility of using standard bore 383 pistons in the 413. Here's the cool thing. The standard bore on a 383, did I say 383? The standard bore on a 383 is 4.25. However, between the 426 and the 383, the difference is the stroke, which means that the wrist pin location on those pistons is different between the RB, which they call the raised block, and the B, which is a shorter deck motor. The wrist pin location is different. But here's the cool thing. It's not that much different that if you use the RB rods with the B engine pistons, yes, you lose some compression points, but that falls perfectly into my evil plans. I'm going to greatly oversimplify this to explain it. But let's say that we have 10.5 to 1 pistons in both engines, okay? Our wrist pin location, again, I'm greatly oversimplifying it, but our wrist pin location on the B engine may be here, and on the RB engine may be here. Again, I'm exaggerating, but you'll notice that this is a much different dimension here than it is here, okay? If we were to take this piston out of the B engine, remember we're looking at 4.25 bore this 413 out to 4.25 and put this piston over here, figuratively what's going to happen, okay, is while the wrist pin was down here, we were right at the deck height because we are using this higher piston wrist pin location. What ends up happening relatively is, and I'm exaggerating again, the piston sits down in the bore further, okay, which is fine. So what happens is when you take a 383 standard bore piston and put it in a 413 or a standard bore 426 block, it's about 100 thousandths or so, give or take, down in the bore more, which means the piston goes from about 10.7 down to about 9.0 to 1 compression. Is that a problem? Not for what I'm building. I have spent hours going through the math on this, but also hours trying to get it simplified to be able to explain it in simple terms for YouTube so you can just kind of understand the concept of what I'm doing here. So let's go through just a couple quick numbers and just explain this, okay? So what we're going to be using is not the 413 piston, not the 426 standard bore piston, but we're going to be using a 10.5 to 1, 10 to 1, 11 to 1 standard bore 383 piston. So because compression ratios are actually not based upon the piston, but just based how the piston fills up volume in the cylinder and the head, using this piston that's quote unquote rated at a specific cylinder head CC, chamber CC, and so forth, blah, blah, blah. It's going to change because the piston pin location moves it down just a little bit in the bore. We have a little bit more room in here, which means our compression drops down to about 9 to 1, which is perfect for a blower motor. I would like to be between 9 and 9.5, which is a lot of compression for a motor like this, for a supercharged motor, especially when you consider the fact that for street applications, they always say underspeed your blower 10%, underspeed your blower 14%. I plan to overspeed my blower 10%. My goal off the nitrous with the 671 blower is to be around 200 psi of cylinder pressure. That means we've got to be running some pretty good fuel. We've got a lot of boost going in there, but the compression is going to be higher, so that's going to mean fuel in excess of 100 octane. I generally run 108 anyway, so we should have a good margin there. Of course, we want to be sure we have a lot of fuel in there, etc., etc., etc. Here's the point on that. Then we're going to put another 200-ish shot of nitrous, plate nitrous, on top of the blower underneath the carburetors so that we get the intercooling effect through the 671 blower at all, which, if I remember the numbers, we've done this before, if I remember the numbers, it adds even more. You can end up with a 200 shot of nitrous, port nitrous, like plate nitrous like that, under the carbs. You can end up with another 10 to 20% of power. It's nitrous doesn't make power, but you know what I'm saying, on top of that. So you could end up between 225 and 250. With the cam that I have, which I don't have the specs right here off the top of my head, using the steel heads that I have, I'm not going aluminum, but I will gently address them. I'll port them a little bit. We've got good valves in those heads. I think they're 205s maybe, I don't remember. I don't remember the CC, we did that too, but anyway, all the numbers, just going middle of the road on stuff, nothing crazy. This motor theoretically should be at about 950 to 1,000 horse. Realistically, I know it's probably going to be high 800s, low 900s would be my guess. Again, this is all theoretical. Theoretical is higher than real world experience, obviously. And then we're going to shoot that nitrous on top of that. The goal is to be over 1,000 horsepower on this. The goal is to be running 33-inch tall tires through a 457 gear. Should put us through the traps, again, all things being equal, at 120 miles an hour, which theoretically, nope, I take that back. That'd be 140 miles an hour on the bottle. Should put us into the high sevens or low eights. Now, that's ridiculously, my goal, if I could get a solid 8-second pass out of this thing, anywhere 850, I would be thrilled. If I ever hit 799, I would wet my pants with this combination. But I'm trying to do things a little bit outside the box because I still want this car to be 100% streetable. I vacillate back and forth between automatic and stick transmission. I have the 4 speeds, but I also know if this thing ever hooked, we could grenade a transmission pretty easily. I also know that the car would be just a couple tenths of a second faster with an automatic. It's a trade-off. First of all, with a stick, you have to get your shifting perfect, and I certainly won't. You don't launch as hard with the stick. You might think you would, but you actually get a small amount of, they call it torque multiplication in the converter. In other words, it allows the motor to flash up just a little bit more as that hydraulic drive kicks in. And you actually can get a little bit of a harder launch. But with the stick, you can actually get a little bit higher speed on the end. However, in the quarter mile, the reality is the quicker you get that first 60 feet under your belt, in the end, the quicker your ET is going to be. So it's just a matter of when I get to that point, making the decisions and deciding which way I'm going to go, using what I have and taking the risks. We'll see. It's a toss-up. It's a trade-off. But these are the kind of things that I spend a lot of time thinking about. These are the kind of things that I spend a lot of time pondering and plotting, and I still want to play with gear ratios. Do I want to look at a 411 gear, 457 gears, what I did the math with? I could go to a 488 gear. Because we're making a torque monster, I did decide that I am going to advance the timing on the cam just a little bit. By advancing the cam on the timing, I'm bringing that RPM, the power band, down just a little bit, and I'm adding just a little bit more torque. With this kind of motor, the way I'm building it, I don't really want to let this thing see much more than 6,800 to 7,000 RPM. Yeah, that's just my goal, is to see, can we get that magic 1,000 horsepower mark without spinning it over $7,000. I don't know. It's all part of the fun for me, is working with the numbers and so forth. According to the math that I did on this, probably a pair of 750 double pumpers is going to be pretty good on it. So, we're talking a true 750 flow, which is 1,500 CFM. I believe by the numbers that I did, I think we were looking at 12 to 1,300 CFM at $7,000, I think is what it was. So 750s might be just a touch on the small side, but we can figure that out. But I firmly believe in building a car by the numbers. When I build a car like this, that's the way I go. I did that with the Pro Street GTS. My buddy Chevelle, who was actually very similar to this build, which is where I got a lot of my ideas. He had a 454 Chevelle oversped blower. I think he was running 10.5 to 1 pistons on the street with a 200 shot of nitrous. That thing just made ridiculous amount of horsepower. He was running a turbo 400. He had I feel like it was a 4,000 or 5,000 RPM stall converter in that car. He drove it on the street. So fun car. And it ran spinning like crazy. It ran in the low 10s in the quarter, and they never could get the thing to hook. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. It's the car I've always wanted to build. I intended to do this in the GTS, but I've decided to let the GTS just be what it is and do this in the Golden Mullet. I've got a lot of this stuff already. I've got the 413, I've got the forged cranks, I've got the forged rods, I've got the 671 blower. I'm thinking I just could probably make my own blower manifold, my own blower plate. We've got the machine shop to do all that stuff. Is it something I'm in a hurry to do? No, I'm still sitting down with pen and paper, designing the chassis for this car. I've pretty much decided At this point, I'm probably going to go with a traditional 4-link rear end. I think for the kind of traction we're going to have in this car, we're going to need it. We're going with a full 10-point cage. Yeah, everything like that. So, you know, it's going to be a street car. It's going to have all the glass in it and the lights and everything else. I had a weight number. I don't remember what the number was. I don't have those papers out here with me right now. But for a complete car, built the way I'm doing it, with everything functioning, yeah, we should be able to pull it off. It's just everything's got to be right. There's still a million details that I have to think through. So you may see this video and just blow a gasket and say, oh, you're blah, 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 blah. You know, it's a matter of having to have time to think about things, put pen on paper, run scenarios, think of eventualities, think of things I'm not thinking about. All that stuff. I want to give a shout out to, I already did, but I'm going to again to my buddy Joe over on the Just Mopar Joe channel, because the 383 Pistons was something he suggested a couple of years ago. And it's just been back there in the back of my head gelling for a long time. And just in the last few weeks, I finally started crunching numbers and seeing that, yes, we can use a 10.5 to 11 to 1 piston out of a 383 in a 413 punched out 70 thousandths. It's going to drop our compression from that 10.5 to 11 down to 8.5 or 8.7 to 9.2, I think was the range we were looking at, depending. And that's perfect for the blower motor. And we could go more. I thought initially about going more, but I'm trying to build all of this, believe it or not, using mostly the parts that I have on somewhat of a budget, knowing we need to Magnaflux rods, we need to crack check the crank, we need to definitely sonic test the block and make sure the cylinders will handle that 70 thousandths, etc., etc., etc. Will we balance it? I'm not sure. We will make that decision. We're not twisting it at massive amounts of RPM, and most of the use for this car is not going to be on the drag strip every weekend. It's intended to be a street car that I'm going to take to the track a few times and mess around with. So again, context. What can I do in the context of what I'm trying to build for as inexpensively as possible? That's the whole point of My Car Shop. Yeah, you can go out and throw big stupid money at stuff, but look at the context. Do you need to build an engine that's going to handle 9,000 RPM weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend, season after season after season, if you're going to be burping it down the track once or twice every year or two? Maybe 4 times on a Saturday, once or twice a year, once every couple of years. And mostly you're just going to be out horsing around on the road with it and cruising it to town and taking it out to my personal drag strip and running it up through second gear. And I don't know. I can promise you this. I've built a lot of motors in the same mindset, and they really run and they last a long time, and you can save yourself a buttload of money. All right, that's going to do it on this one. I can just hear the comments. Don't care. This is what I do. This is what I've done all my life. That's what this channel's here for. So if you don't like that, hit the road, Jack, and don't come back no mo, no mo, no mo. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget, because it's important.